Hello, 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 friends. Guess what day it is? It is the 5th. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 5th day of Ignite of our 7-day series, 7 days of Ignite. I'm so thrilled to have you all here. What? Let's see. Here we go. Let's get this party started, right? Got the candle, okay? I'm gonna do one of these. So we got one. Oh, number one is not lighting today. Oh, there we go. Number two. Wow, the candle situation today is just all right. We're gonna do two. We're gonna do two for today, okay? In the 5 days of Ignite, we do have the five lighters, but we're gonna stick with these two, okay? We're gonna stick this over in the corner as we get today's party started. I am so glad to see you all joining in the Instagram room and on Facebook. Listen, y'all, listen. Today I'm going deep. I'm going deep with y'all. People have been asking me, what is a system for ideas at Ignite that can really help me understand what my idea is going to be? Okay. Today, y'all, I'm introducing to you the proprietary information that I only share with the people who are part of my ideas that Ignite crew. Okay. So if you are watching this on Instagram, you might consider jumping over to either LinkedIn or the Facebook group Ideas That Ignite. Okay, the Facebook group Ideas That Ignite or on LinkedIn. And the reason why is because today we're going to be showing you a couple of slides. I'm going to be showing you the couple of slides that break down exactly what the Ignite process is. Okay, now this is the exact same process that I've taken dozens and dozens of people through to get really clear on their idea and figure out what exactly they were going to pitch to TED or TEDx. Okay, now this has taken me years to develop this system. So I hope that you have a pen and paper. I hope that you are ready because this is the 5th day of Ignite. We only have 2 more after this, right? We're going into 2023, and I want to leave you all with just a sense of clarity and abundance that this is possible. This is feasible for you. Okay. So I hope that you have your pens and paper ready. Make sure that if you need to put on your headphones, if you just need to get your mind and body set, yo, we're about to light it up. Okay. So here's the very, very first thing that I want you to think about in the word ignite. Okay. We're breaking down for you Ignite. Once again, this is specifically what you can do in order to get really clear on your idea. Okay. So the very first thing that I want you to do, and if you're watching this on Instagram, I encourage you to join us on LinkedIn at Dawn Fraser or on the Facebook group Ideas That Ignite. Okay. So what we're going to be breaking this down. This is the exact blueprint that I give to every single person. So I hope that you're feeling the love because I've never introduced this to the public before. But for those of you who are considering joining or thinking about what it would be like to go through the coaching program like mine, I want you to pay attention carefully. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is actually drawing a pyramid. And that pyramid in the middle of it is going to have the letter I. Okay, in the middle of it, it's going to have the letter I. What does the I stand for? The I is going to stand for your idea. Okay, clear and simple, your idea, because TED is all about ideas worth spreading. Okay, so if you're looking at my screen right now, you'll see the word Ignite, Ignite. We're going to break down each one of these letters. Now, this is coming from tips from TED, tips from myself as a professional story coach who's worked with people for the past 10 years to give birth to people's ideas and put them on stages like the Moth, like TED, like TEDx, like the UN, like the Halls of Congress. Okay, so this process is specific to figuring out what that idea is and how it can really help you understand what you're thinking as you're leaning into this process. For those of you who are new to me, my name is Dawn Fraser, based out of San Jose, California, and I love the process of working with people to create their stories in service of something. Now, if you're watching this, the season that we're in right now is a season of TED. Okay, this is the season of TED and TEDx. Why? Because we just saw, I did a live yesterday where we saw that there are over 450, I believe 490 TEDx's that are currently open and looking for speakers like you, okay? So people who are innovative, people who are creatives, people who are like thought leaders in your industry, who really need to get your idea out the world. This today is going to be for you. So make sure you stick around all the way to the end, okay? So here we go. Let's go ahead and jump into today's broadcast. Make sure that anybody who wants to join on Facebook, you are all good and you can see the slides. Okay, great. Great. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a fire emoji if you're ready to get this party started. Yes, yes. All right, let's do it. Okay, so the very first letter in I is going to be the idea. Okay, as I mentioned, that's going to be the core of what we're talking about. Okay, so I want you to write this down. When we're looking at the idea, I want you to consider three main things. I want you to think about what is the concern or the issue. What is the concern or the issue that needs to be stated or that needs to be thought about? Okay, what crisis needs to be resolved? Or what's an idea that might actually have some type of opposing point of view or even controversial? Okay, I want you to think about what potentially in your field might be controversial. Who might disagree with your idea? Okay, now keep in mind that this is rather specific, right? If we're talking about things like for example, I was going through a couple of the different applications today, and there are people who are really, really deep in their field, right? Be it in crypto, be it in the environment, and be it in storytelling, you know. But what we want to do is we want to actually come up with an idea that might actually be controversial to others, right? Because think about it, if you're able to present a viewpoint, that really starts to get into the specifics of why this is something that we should talk about, right? So if you have a general topic, vulnerability, leadership, motivation, right? These are very broad topics. These are not issues, and these are not ideas. Okay, so the very first, and I know I've mentioned this before, but one of those very first things I need you to do when you're coming up with your idea is to make sure that you can state it in one sentence. In one sentence, okay? So what I want you to do is think about what is the issue or what is the concern that if you were to talk about this on a TED or TEDx platform, it could actually change people's lives. It could change the way that we think about something, or that we could change the way that we actually do and engage in the world. Okay, what would that issue or that concern be? What is the crisis that needs to be resolved? And what idea might even have an opposing, like an antagonist, might be seen as controversial? Okay, that's going to be at the center of everything that we're looking at in this particular framework. Okay, so far so good? So far so good. All right, now the next thing in our framework, what's the next letter? What's the next letter, ladies and gentlemen? It's a G. Okay, the G. The G within this framework is going to stand for what are the guts? Where is the story that is supporting this particular idea? Okay, so when you think about the story that you might potentially include as part of your application, I want you to think about those moments that you will never ever forget. Those moments that you'll never forget. Now, I don't want to go too much into the brain stuff, but the way that the brain works is you start to remember things that are a diversion from the norm. If every day life was like you would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you'd walk your dog, and then you'd come go get your Starbucks drink. Okay, then that's your typical day, right? But then all of a sudden one day you wake up and there's frost all over the concrete and you slip, right? You remember those days because it's a diversion. It's different from previous days. Okay, I want you to think about those moments that you just remember for whatever reason. It's a story that sticks with you. But we don't want to share any story. We don't want to share any story. We want to make sure that we're pulling from your personal or your professional experience in a way that actually supports your idea. Okay, and the story is going to take people on a journey, right? Have you ever had somebody like tell you a story and they're just kind of like rambling on and on and on and on and on, and you're like, where is the story going, right? Well, we want to make sure that we know exactly where we're starting with the story, where we're landing the story, and how it serves the general idea that you are pitching to TED or TEDx. Okay, so I want you to take people on a journey as you go and do your pitch. Okay, so far so good. That's the G. That's the G part of the framework. that's going to support this idea. Okay, so far so good. Can I get some thumbs up? Can I get some fire emojis? Awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you. Okay, great. So next up in the Ignite framework is the letter N. The letter N. The letter N within our framework stands for what is new or noteworthy. New or noteworthy about this particular topic. Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the fire emojis. Thank you. Thank you. Lighting up the screen. I see you all. By the way, if you have any questions during the course of today's presentation, go ahead and put those in the chat. If you're on Instagram, put those in the chat and there's a little Q&A, or you can just put them in the chat. Or if you are on Facebook or on LinkedIn, you can go ahead and put those in the chat as well. I might not be able to see your name, but I can actually see the comments. Okay. So go ahead and put those in the chat anytime during the presentation. But new and noteworthy. New and noteworthy. Have you ever seen on Apple Podcasts how there's this category called new and noteworthy? I started wondering, like, how do the top podcasts, how do they get up there? Because I talked to a friend, she's like, yo, I've been doing my podcast for 10 years, and now all of a sudden it's new and noteworthy. So I wanted to understand, like, what exactly can we learn from podcasts, and what can we learn from those who are actually getting a lot of traction that can be applied to a TED or TEDx talk? Okay. Now, the thing that really makes this interesting is that those new and noteworthy topics on podcasts, they typically come from one of three sources. A, they're celebrities. So they already have a platform. They already know that people are looking out for them. They know people are looking for this particular person. Okay. So that's how it becomes new and noteworthy. Two, it's getting a lot of shares, or it's just getting a lot of traction. And people are like really starting to click on it or to engage with the idea, right? And Apple notices this and then pushes that content to the top so that they see this new and noteworthy, right? Or there's something about it that is cutting edge, that is really new. So I was like looking up some of the words, some of the top words for 2022, right? And there was things that came up like quiet quitting, right? I mean, whoever heard about quiet quitting before COVID? I know I sure as heck didn't, right? Who heard about the digital nomads, right? And the way that people can travel and their freedom and the way that we think about work and healthcare, right? So many things changed during the course of the past couple of years that make these topics new and noteworthy. And regardless of what industry you're in, there's probably a new perspective that people in the outside world are probably just starting to like become privy to. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to think about what would make your topic or your idea new and noteworthy. What are people talking about within your industry that probably haven't reached the outside world yet? That might be like, if they were to think about this idea differently, like almost like as a scientist, think about it like, this is how the general population thinks about this topic. This is how you can think about this topic, right? I want you to be that scientist. I want you to be the person breaking down that idea and to show how is this new and noteworthy. Okay, so what's new about this topic or issue? Why is it urgent that your audience should care now? And what are some innovations? What are some innovations in the field that might actually make sense? That might really, really just push the way that people talk about this subject in a very forward manner. Okay, so not just boring stuff, but what is new? What is new and noteworthy in your field? Okay, that's the N in our framework. So far, so good. Yeah. Can I get another fire? Can I get another fire emoji before we go on to the next letter? Can I get one more? Let's see. Can I get one more? All right, I'll wait for my next fire emoji as we go on to the next letter in our presentation here. Okay. The next I in our framework stands for the insights. It stands for, thank you. I just got another fire. I got double fire emoji. Boom. Let's see how many. Two. And we got this really smells good, by the way. If anybody needs a recommendation for some really, really awesome smelling candles, just hit us up. Smells good in here. Okay, anyways, so The next I in our framework is going to stand for insights. Insights. Okay. I'm sure you've seen some great talks that have either some type of data or some type of intrigue. If it's really story based, if it's a story based TED talk, then there might be some type of intrigue, some type of fascination, right? But a lot of the best talks also have some type of stats or data. Okay. Now I can go into a whole other tangent just talking about like stats and data because this is not what we want to lead with, but we want to make sure that we do have enough information that supports our issue or our topic and that it makes sense. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're using reputable sources because this is definitely one of the things that might make you disqualified for a TED or TEDx talk is having bad sources. Okay. But we want to make sure that it's quantifiable and it's backable. So one of the reasons why I go through this a lot in this particular slide in terms of insights is because sometimes when it comes to TED and TEDx talks, we want to make sure that we're not promoting anything that is like pseudoscience, anything that's like not really backable by science. Okay. We have to have the stats, we have to have the data, we have to actually have the information that shows us that this is something that the public is aware of. And this is something that we can actually like lean into because we have the stats and the data and the backing to prove that it actually works. Okay. So in my own TED talk, a lot of this was actually about intrigue. Okay. So for some of you might only have like the story as part of your insights. And so in my particular case, one of the things that I presented was the fact that no, there are not a lot of people in this world who have a twin with special needs. Statistically, it's 1 to 3 births in every million. Okay. Now, this particular stat did not make it to the information that was needed in order for my talk to be accepted, but I did have that as part of my application. So I want you to think about what stats or data or information might be of interest to the person that is reading your application, that's looking over your idea. Where are your stats coming from? Make sure they're reputable, make sure they're backable, because they will be doing their research on you and your data. Okay. So the I stands for data, stats, intrigue, and intelligence. Okay. And if any of these don't make any type of sense, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to go back over them with you. Because what we do in the Ideas That Ignite Mastermind is we take a lot of time to actually figure out each part of this puzzle. Keep in mind, we're all going back to that one sentence that is your idea worth spreading. Okay. So all of these are like little spokes that are serving your idea. Okay. All right. All right. Let's go on to the next one. And once again, if you're watching this on Instagram, you might want to join me on LinkedIn or on the Ideas That Ignite Facebook group. Let me just make sure that we don't have any other people. Last time we did this, we had a bunch of people that were jumping over to the Facebook group. So let me just make sure that we are. Okay, great. Awesome. We've got everybody in who wants to check it out live. Okay, great. Now, if you're watching this on the replay, I hope that you're taking notes and that you're getting the information that you need. Okay, Gelato is in the house. So great to see you. My sister from another mister. Birthday's coming up right around the corner too. All right, so we are on the T. We are in the T letter of Ignite. Okay. The next T of our framework stands for, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, the takeaway. The takeaway. I want you to keep in mind that every single time that you do a presentation, this is in service of your audience. Okay. Now, specifically when it comes to public speaking or to TED or TEDx, we definitely need to lean into what do I want my audience to do, believe, or say as a result of listening to my talk. Okay. What actionable steps can they take that will actually will mean something in their lives? Okay. Now, a lot of the people that I've worked with before come from the creative background. They come from the storytelling background, and stories always have a great moral, Okay, but stories don't always have an actionable. They're not created to always have you think about what I want you to do or what I want you to say or believe as a result of it, right? So if you've ever seen a moth story, some of you are familiar with the moth. The moth is all about the story worth sharing, right? It's an offering to the world. And you let your audience take away whatever they take away from it. And they go home and they're happy and they tell this fabulous story that they remember, right? TED is all about the idea worth spreading. So you have to have the idea spread in a way that is actionable and something that is a takeaway for your audience. So if you don't have a takeaway that is directly connected to these other spokes of the idea, then you're not doing this for your audience. And it's going to be very clear. It's going to be very evident, and it's not going to go very far in your application, in my opinion. Okay. So for the takeaway, what I want you to do is to think about what actionable steps do you want your audience to do as a result of listening to the talk? What is the call to action? What changes to your thoughts or beliefs can be implemented as a result of listening to this talk? And what is also going to be gained or lost by not acting? What could be gained or lost by not acting? Okay. So in my particular TED talk, one of the actionable steps I wanted people to do was think differently. It was just a very slight change. It wasn't a huge change. I still wanted people to think differently about those who had special needs. I wanted them to reframe that thought into those who have special gifts. Okay? Really simple reframe the way that we believe or the way that we think about those who have needs. Okay? So this isn't a huge thing, but it is huge if I am able to influence the way that people think about those in this capacity. Okay? And all this was wrapped around the story that I shared, which was a moment at UCLA when I was at the Special Olympics with a busted leg and a busted back because I was trying to be an Olympian and I messed myself up. But in a twist of fate, my twin brother Dwayne was there competing at the Special Olympics at the same track where I got hurt. Okay. It was a big lesson that I learned because I wasn't a great sport about this particular moment. So it was a story. I encourage you to go check out my TED Talk if you want to. You can find it on the interwebs. Just put Don J. Fraser redefining what it means to win. Okay, or just put TED, Don J. Fraser TED. It should pop up. Okay. So, anyways, what can be gained or lost by not acting? By not acting. Okay, that is the T in our framework. And last but not least, the E. The E, the last E in this particular framework is what is your expertise? What is your expertise? That's right. Oh, my curls just got a little bounce in there. Just got a little bounce. My grays are also starting to pop out a little bit, right? But your expertise, okay? I don't know how many people just totally ignore their expertise when they're talking about their idea. I don't know why. But if you've spent years and years talking about a subject, writing about a subject, going on to people's podcasts, right? If you are just like really passionate about this particular area, if you've gotten awards around it, if you've been able to like get a degree around it, then that needs to be part of your expertise. That needs to be part of your application, right? We need to see that you have spent time actually doing the damn thing as opposed to just talking about the damn thing. Okay. We want the people who have written the book on what we should do about the Amazon fires, not the person who has just read the book about what's happening on the Amazon and the fires, but actually the person who has done the work. Okay. So a lot of times I ask people like, yo, like, what are you known for? My homegirl who's on the live right now, Gelado, right? Gelado is known as the ambassador of fun. The ambassador of fun. People come to her because they know that if they're going to go to one of her shows, she is going to be having some cake. She's going to be having some food. She's going to be telling some funny stories, right? She's just going to make everything really enjoyable, right? So she has a product, she has a service, she has an event that people can come to that she can say, this is mine. This is my intellectual property. This is what I believe in. What is that for you? For me, that was my first show that I ever created, which was called Barbershop Stories. Okay, Barbershop Stories was a space where people could come around from, I don't care if you were Black, white, Latino, Asian, non binary, it didn't matter. But I wanted to have you share a story that connected us. okay, inside of a Black barbershop. Because why? That's where I hung out, right? So that's where I wanted my people from all walks of life to come and converge, was in this Black barbershop. We call it barbershop stories. Me having something that I could show that this is something I created. Mind you, it wasn't in print. It wasn't like nationally known, but it did get a lot of great people coming into my ecosystem, and it eventually showed that I was a person that could actually talk about leadership, storytelling, and the connection between stories and community, right? Which was what I ended up talking about as a public speaker. Okay. But I need you to understand that your expertise, regardless if it's something that you've done, something you've written, it needs to be part of your process. Okay. And those are the things that go into this Ignite framework. Okay. Ignite. So keep in mind what I want you to do. Let's just go back to the top here. And then we're going to look over a couple of questions, and I wanted to share with you a little bit more about the Ideas That Ignite program. Okay, so the idea or the issue, I want you to be able to state it in one sentence. Okay, that's going to be the nucleus. So as you work on the application, as the people who are in my Ideas That Ignite coaching program come together, that is the core of it. They start off with an idea, but over the course of a couple of weeks in this particular program, 12 weeks, it gets refined, it gets refined, it gets refined until it actually makes sense. Something that you feel proud about, something that is intriguing, something that's interesting, that can be pitched to TED and the curators of TED, and for them to say, like, yeah, you know what? We want to hear more about this. Okay? So get that idea down to one sentence. Make sure that you have a core story, like a story, regardless of the length, it is going to be included, and ancillary stories, right? So depending on the length, it might be a 5-minute TED Talk, it might be 10 minutes, maximum will be 18 minutes. So you might have a couple of ancillary stories, but you might probably have a core story that's supporting your idea. Okay, so what is that story, and how does it serve this larger idea? Okay, what makes this idea new and noteworthy? So it's not just something that is a general topic. It's not something that's boring or bland, but it's actually something that people are paying attention to. People are clicking on it. People are like, you know what? I really need to like understand this, right? The inflation, the economy. Whoo, Lord, I've been trying to learn about that. If anybody can break that down for me, please just hit sister up, because I don't know what's happening with these stocks. I don't know what's happening with this 401k. I don't know what's going on with my 401. Yeah, I don't even know. Hit sister up. Okay, new and noteworthy. The insights and the data are the next I, right? So, and keep in mind that not all of these pieces are equally as important. When we're looking at the actual content, we're looking at the content itself, then we want to make sure that we're balancing things out. So the data and the intrigue, or the insights, excuse me, are probably only about like 10 to 15, maybe max 20% of the content that you're going to be including, but we still need to include it. Okay. And we're going to talk about, like, how much you should put in of story, how much of data, how much of this is like the takeaway. That's a whole another framework that we actually present as part of the Ideas That Ignite Mastermind. But I just want to make sure that it is included, and that you think about how much data do I need, and how much data could I just pull back on. Okay. The takeaway, like, what is your audience going to do, say, or believe as a result of listening to your talk? Okay. This is huge. This is huge for any TED or TEDx application. Okay. I want you to think, what exactly will they do as a result of listening to this talk? And how does this feed off of everything else that I've talked about, including, but last but not least, my expertise, your expertise. Okay. The things that you know about, the times that you spent creating, building, writing, podcasting, whatever that might be, those all go into this blueprint. Okay. So I'm so thrilled that this is the time. The time is now to actually lean into the possibility of doing a TEDx talk in 2023. Why now? Now we are at the crux. We are like basically like at that moment of inflection when things are going to start to take off quickly for 2023. So if you're watching this, you are probably an expert in your field, a thought leader, a creative, somebody who knows that you have some type of message that you want to get out into the world. If that is you, I definitely encourage you to check out my group coaching program, Ideas That Ignite. Ideas That Ignite. Okay. We have had some amazing, amazing success with students participating on the stages, everything from TEDx to the Hall of the Congress, my own TED Talk, right? This is going to be a 12-week process. We're going to be starting in January. January for 12 weeks, working specifically on your idea, on your application, on your video, and all the different assets to actually feel like you are in flow when you are presenting your TED Talk. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the idea, like using this exact same framework. But then we also need to look at your story. Okay, we need to look and make sure that we're actually aligning all these things, not only your presentation, but your application. And I know that when I was doing this process, I did not want to do it alone. I did not want to do it alone. It was so isolating to try and figure out all of these pieces without some type of assistance. And so that is exactly why we have Ideas That Ignite. So we can do this as part of a community. Okay, so we're opening the doors now. The doors are open now for applications. You can submit at ignite.donjfraser.com, ignite.donjfraser.com. Let me just go ahead and put that up on our screen over here. There we go. There we go. Ignite.donjfraser.com. If you're on Instagram, you can find that link in my bio at the top of the page. And we're looking at having applications until December 21st of 2022. Okay, for the cohort that's going to start in January, right? So if this is you, if you are somebody who is ready to step into this process, if you're ready to make 2023 magnificent related to your public speaking goals, I definitely want to hear from you. Go ahead and fill out an application, and me and my team will review it. And we just want to make sure that you're a good fit, because this is a very tight knit community. We don't accept everybody whose application is submitted, because I can't. Based off the guarantee that I'm able to provide for this program, I cannot possibly take on every single person, because it is an investment, and I do not want to be able to take anyone's money who I feel who I cannot actually help you identify a great TED or TEDx opportunity for you. So make sure you check out that information on ignite.donjfraser.com. Or you can also, if you're watching this, you can also just put Ignite in my bio, or actually Ignite in the little messenger. And I'll get right back to you, no problem. But yeah, this is the breakdown. This is the framework, the Ignite framework that we use, our proprietary information that we use on the back end. And keep in mind, now this is only one. This is only one of those frameworks. So to close us out, just going to go to our last slide. Let's see. Can I move this? I hide that. Okay, there we go. There we go. I just want to end with a nice little phrase. If you don't share your story, in this case, if you don't share your idea, who will? Who will? Chances are somebody is going to try and tell a story on your behalf, or somebody's going to have a different idea and get to the punch first. Okay. If you're part of my audience, I want that person to be you. Okay. So hit me up. Make sure you check out ignite.donjfraser.com before the 21st if you're interested. And let's make this happen, y'all. 2 more days in the Ideas That Ignite series. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world. And let's go over to some questions. Okay, let's see here. Questions. Yep. Okay. We got that one answered. 21st of December. Hello. We were just answering a couple of questions and about to wrap up. Let's see if there's any other questions that we got here. Yes. So when it comes to the idea itself, the reason why we want to be able to articulate it in one sentence is because it's hard, right? It's hard, but also a lot of applications are going to ask you to be able to submit your idea in one sentence. Okay. And the reason why is because if you're able to really identify what those words are that can cause that intrigue, then that's a good sign that the rest of the presentation is going to be filled with content that people are interested in. Okay, so that's why we always start with one sentence. But when you actually look at the application itself, When you look at the application itself, there's actually two parts. So one part of it is just going to be like, what is the idea in a sentence? All right. And then what is the idea if we had to expand it, if we had to like put it in a couple of sentences? So that's why the framework works great for that, because we both have one sentence and we have the a little bit of the context, right? So that framework that we just introduced to you, the guts of it, the story guts, that serves in service of that particular idea. Okay, great question. Great question. Let's see. Let's go back over here to the Facebook group and double check to see if we have any comments. And I saw something. Okay, of course. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any other questions. Oh, okay, great. The stories that you should consider, right? The stories I want you to consider are basically the ones that have something that to do with your big idea. So they should come from your personal experience or professional experience. There was a couple of great TED Talks that actually just came out that did a great job of showing how the story supports your topic, how the story supports your topic or your idea. Okay. So these are not general moments in time. These are moments in time when a light bulb either went off or a light bulb either set something into motion for the rest of your journey. Okay. These are the moments that often like stick with us. So you have a story in your mind or a moment that's kind of like sticking with you, and you're trying to figure out what exactly this means. What exactly could this be in terms of an idea? I want you to put your framework, I want you to think about it from three different perspectives. Okay, this is gonna be a whole nother lesson, but you all are getting a little extra Ignite today. Okay, so I want you to put in three different perspectives. The first one I want you to think about is, how did this change me personally? What changed in this situation, in the story that I'm thinking about? What changed for me personally? Okay, that's gonna be one perspective. For me, I saw myself as a poor sport. Okay, in my initial pitch to TED and TEDx. Okay, that's what changed for me. Is I realized I needed to change because I was being a bad sport. The second thing I want you to think about is what changed in terms of your external relationships to other people as a result of this particular moment. Okay, so those external to you, your friends, your homies, your aunties, your uncles, your mom, your dad, like your dog. It doesn't matter, right? Anything that changed relative to other people. Okay, and so in this particular situation, I wanted, I changed my relationship with my twin brother. Right, I realized that I was always thinking that I would be the one that would need to support him, or to kind of like give him the love and support, when in reality, it was him that was doing the same for me. Okay, so because of this moment, nothing had changed in the past, but the way that I framed it changed, right? So I could have framed this about being a story or an idea around motivation and how I wanted people to think about sportsmanship. I could have taken that exact same moment and change it to think about, how I wanted others to consider the relationships with their siblings, especially those who have special needs. And the third way that you could think about it is what changed in terms of my worldview or your worldview. Okay. So in this particular case, what do I want people to think differently about those who have special needs? And how can I frame that into something like, like I want them to think about those needs in terms of gifts. Okay. So when it comes down to the stories can also really help you figure out like which one of these lenses, which one of these frames best can serve that idea, right? Because every interpretation of your story is going to be right, but only one is really going to stick and make sense as something that's in service of that idea. Okay. So that was an extra like bonus, little extra bonus that I wanted to add in there, because that was a great question. So let me see if there's anything else in terms of other questions. Okay, I think that we are good. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. So once again, if you are interested, make sure to just check out that link in my bio, ignite.donjefraser.com. Tomorrow, let's see, what is our session on? Let's just double check so I can give you all a little bit of a tease. Oh, right. A little bit of proof and a little bit of misconceptions. So we're going to be talking about why your story matters for something like TED and TEDx, and why it doesn't, and when it doesn't. Okay. So kind of exactly some of the things that we were just talking about today in terms of the story, why your story matters for TED and why it doesn't. A little bit of intrigue, right? That was intentional. That's by design, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope that that is a little bit of a teaser for you tomorrow. Same time, same channel, same place, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 Eastern, here on LinkedIn Live, on YouTube Live, on Instagram Live. We're on all the lives. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace. Actually, Ignite. Oh, what's up, friends? We're just about to sign off. But you know what? I'll give you a little closing since we're on the 5 days of the fifth day of Ignite Let's see if we can get this going. A little something. Oops, oopsies. There we go. Y'all know I'm a little bit silly. All right, y'all. This has been fun. I'm so glad you have joined us. Make sure you check out ignite.donjfraser.com. If you're interested in joining the January cohort, we're starting to clean up shop. So make sure you submit your applications. All right. I'll talk to y'all soon.